getting there.
Okay.
We just went live.
We just went live. Joe and I were just standing here chit-chatting and talking about stuff, and all of a sudden we went, we have a video to do tonight. So we're just going to wait for a couple minutes. I'm Karen, and I'm here for Sew and Save, and I am in my sewing studio today. We're not doing this from the adorable garden room because it's rainy. So we're inside. There was some thunder. I didn't see any lightning, but it was a really nice rain shower.
Ask if people can hear.
Okay. So I just want to check and make sure everybody can hear us and see me, and that everything is good. So please comment, say hi, let us know if the sound is okay and the video is okay.
Pat Kramer says hi.
Hey, Pat Kramer, how are ya? Good to see ya. Does everything sound okay, Pat? Can you hear me?
Got 13 people on.
Excellent. We're here tonight to do the third in our Sizzling Summer Series. So I hope you guys have had a good summer and have gotten some sewing done. So our first project in our Sizzling Summer Series were the patriotic banners. And the week before last, we did the tote bags. And today we're going to do this beautiful Whimsy Dasical runner. So this is number 3. Not next week, but the week after, we will do our little trinket bag. So that's going to be really fun. So I hope everybody is having a great summer. And I think we can get started. We're going to get started. We've got enough.
14 people on. Pat says it sounds great.
Excellent.
The sound is great. The picture and sound is good. So.
Perfect. Oh, that's good to hear. Yay. It's always a happy day when that happens. Yeah, we've been busy at the store today. We've been getting everything ready for our sample spree on Monday night at 6 o'clock. And on Wednesday, we have our Christmas and fall preview party. So I hope you can join us in the store. And if you can't, we'll be doing a live video at 6 o'clock. But otherwise, in the store, our preview party will be from 3 to 5:30, 3:30 to 5:30, something like that, all day. Just come and visit, say hey. There'll be treats. There's going to be a nice sale and lots of new Christmas projects and fall projects and Halloween projects. So we've been busy, and I hope that you can stop by and see us then. But for tonight, let's take a look at the Whimsy Dasical Table Runner. This is really pretty fabric. It's come in. People have really liked it. They've been picking it up to do baby quilts. Yeah, Joe can take a closer picture of it, just so that if you're making it and you need to refer back to it, you can get a really good picture of it. Really happy fabric. So when you purchased your kit, you got everything to make the top, including the back. So I'm going to go through those pieces with you right now. So in your kit, my back is blue. Some of the backs will be different colors, but it'll all be, I kind of call it the stones. There'll be that piece in there for your back. The butterflies will be the binding. So on this one, I used this color, but then I put the green binding on. Some of them will have blue butterflies, but they all have this fabric in the different colors or the butterflies for your binding. You're going to get these already pre-cut, so something you don't have to pre-cut in order to get started. You're going to get 4 3.5-inch squares of 3 different colors, blue, pink, and green. Then you're going to get some strips, 3 colors, green, orange, and pink, to make your little flower petals. Okay? From your white fabric, you will cut 12 6.5-inch squares, and those squares will be going behind each one of the flower petals. Then you're going to cut from each of the, wrong thing. Okay. From each of these, I kind of call them cobblestones. They kind of look like colored cobblestones to me. So from the cobblestones, you're going to cut 4 by 8-inch rectangles. And you will cut 8 of each of these. So you'll need 8 in each color. So 8 green, 8 pink, and 8 blue in 4 by 8 inch rectangles. Alrighty. Then from your white, you will cut 24 4 by 8 inch squares and set those aside. At that point, you're going to be ready to start to sew. To begin with, you're not going to follow the directions. You know me. I read the directions and I go, don't do that. So the first thing that the directions tell you to do, and you can do this part, is to cut out and put fusible web onto the back of each of your flower petals. So you will want to take the template that they give you and trace onto, I use Soft Fuse. It's a very lightweight fusible web. And so what that will do is it will make each of your flower petals adhere to your fabric when you press them. So you're going to take your pattern, trace 12 of these little, these little pie pieces onto your fusible web. And then you're just going to rough cut around them. And you can see how I did that on this piece. Okay, so around each of the 12, you'll just kind of rough cut those out. Then you will iron them onto your strip of fabric that came in your kit. So you will need 4 of these little petal pieces pressed onto the back of each of your colored strips so that you end up with 4 of each colored petal. Make sense so far? Are you with me? I'm going to get that out of the way. At that point in time, you can take your scissors, and I like to use the serrated scissors because it grips really nicely to the fabric and it doesn't slip. So when you cut, you get a better curve. So I use a little bit bigger scissors on this because it is a bigger piece to cut. And so you're going to cut each one of these 12 out. And then it asks you to, I'm going to cut this one out just so you can see. Not going to worry about making it real super pretty. Here we go. Okay. Cut this out on the line that I drew. So I will end up with 4 orange, 4 pink, and 4 green. The instructions then tell you to take your 6.5 inch squares, which lay behind each one of these petals, and fuse, fuse your petal on. So what you will do is peel the back off. Whoops.
People are noticing Marley in the background there. She's on your...
Hi, sweetie. Are you here to visit? This is Marley. She's my helper. She always seems to help. Hi, sweet baby. Okay, so on the back you have your fusible web, and what it wants you to do is lay your petal down onto your corner, your square, fuse it down. Bad idea. If you think about it, you're going to have to look at how close this comes to each point, each edge. So I kind of put it on a green part or on a colored part so you can see the white on top of a color. You have to get this exactly 1/4 inch from each one of these corners. And then when you sew them, you have to make sure that you sewed this exactly 1/4 inch from each corner. Otherwise, you're going to catch this in here and you're going to have a lot of bulk and it's just not going to look good. So at this point in time, we're not going to do that. Okay? Take your pieces, get them all prepped, have them all ready to go. We're going to do this more towards the end instead of at the beginning. Later on, what we will do is we're going to sew all of one whole block together, one of these entire blocks. And then once we have everything sewn together, we will lay this piece and you'll get it matched right into your corner. If it's too big at that point in time, you can trim it down. But once it's in there, there's no way you're ever going to get this to meet up nicely in the center, and you're going to catch some of your petal in that seam. you know, we all know that's not going to work. So we're not going to do that. The first thing I want you to do is take your 4.5-inch white rectangles and your 4 by 8-inch white rectangles and your 4 by 8-inch colored rectangles and sew those together. Do I have one that's sew? I have one that's sewed together. Sew them all together. This is another deviation from the instructions. The instructions want you to take this and they want you to paper piece each one of these. So first thing you're going to have to do is make a whole bunch of copies of this because you're going to need 12, so you're going to have to make 6 copies of this. Then you're going to paper piece this and cut this apart. I have a much easier way of doing this. Alrighty, you're going to take your white fabric and sew it to your 4 by 8-inch rectangle of your colored fabric. So you're going to do all of those. So you'll have 8 of these, 8 of each color. Okie dokie. You're going to get that done. Piece of cake. You can do that, right? Easy, easy. Now, what we need to do is cut those so they end up at an angle. And Marley is sitting right on my ruler. So the first thing you're going to notice is that you have a right side and a left side to each one of these. Okay, so you're going to need 4 that go in this direction and 4 that go in that direction. That's a little bit of the trick. But let me tell you what we did today in class. You're going to you have 8 of each color. I don't because, well, maybe I have 8 of these. You have 8 of each color wave. Take 4 and put in one stack and 4 and put in another stack and make 2 stacks of each. So one will be the right side, one will be the left side. Make sense so far? Because if you cut these all at the same direction, that angle, and they're all exactly the same, all you're going to have are a whole bunch of right sides or a whole bunch of left sides. So you need 2 going to 2 different directions. And then put 4 of the pink and 4 pink over here. Set one totally away, because some people today had their 2 stacks sitting here, but by mistake they took one off of this one and one off of this one, and then they were messed up. So set one stack away. You're only going to work with 1 stack of 4 of each color at the same time. So what I'm going to do is use a 3.5 by 6.5 inch ruler. Why? Because this is the size that my block is going to end up being. So if I lay this on here, this block is 3.5 by 6.5. So I have this ruler that's going to work perfectly for cutting these out. Alrighty? I'm going to take my first stack, and when you're going to be laying your ruler on your fabric, and I guess I'll put it this way so that Joe's kind of straight up on it. You're going to lay it diagonally through your ruler. There's no line here, but you're going to go from one point to the other point. So on one side, you have a wide colored area, and the other side, you have a wide white area. So here you can see that it's going to actually match up with this block, which has a wide white here and a wide pink there. Okay, we're going to cut this whole stack going this direction, and then we'll have 4 of each color wave in this one. That way you don't have to go back and forth and figure out which way to lay your ruler. Do I have it right side up, right side down? What you want to make sure that you always do is always keep the white. I'm going to lay it so it's facing me. So as it's facing me, the white is on top, the pink is on the bottom. So on this one, I want the wide section to be white for over here and the wide section to be colored on this side. Okie dokie. Then I'm going to use my ruler and my cutter, and I'm just going to cut those. And I'm going to cut, this is a perfect use for your rotating mat. If you have one of these, you're going to be so happy. Otherwise, you're going to be churning your fabric and your ruler each and every time, trying to line it back up. And Starting over again. So I'm going to go through this entire stack laying these exactly the same way. Now my white is on top, the colored is on the bottom. I have the wide to the right hand side of the white and the wide of the colored fabric to the left. And I'm going to go through my stack doing this exact same thing. So I don't have to keep figuring out which way this is going to go each and every time through the stack. I just know that this is how my ruler is going to go. So I'm going to do this entire stack cutting these. Okay? Super simple. A lot easier than paper piecing and cutting things off. So now you can see I have two that are exactly the same. And this is going to go on this side. So this is facing me is the right side. Now I'm going to do my left side. If I'm standing this way, right and left. So once I get through this whole stack, I'll go to my other stack. Now on this side, when it's facing me and facing you, you want the wide side on the right to be to the colored side and the white side that's wide to the left. So when I lay this down here, it's going to lay like this. And you can kind of see how that's going to go that direction. So let me cut this for you. So cut one. I had extra fabric of all of these colors. I had extra white and I had extra colored fabrics left just in case. Just in case something gets turned the wrong direction as you're going around. Okay, we're going to flip over here. And one more time. And now you can see I've cut the other side. Let me do that one more time. So on this one, the wide, so to do the left side, the wide colored fabric will be to the right, and the wide white fabric will be to the left. So you can watch this. So if you're making it at home, the first thing you want to do is sew all these together and then separate your blocks 4 and 4, and then turn the video back on and watch the video again so that you get it going the right direction. So this is the hardest part of the whole project. Okie dokie. You're going to go all the way through and cut all of those. It's not hard. You can do it. You just have to think right and left. That's the tricky part. And because it's kind of cut at an angle, it makes it a little trickier too. So once you've got all of these cut, you're going to sew them all together, right sides together, and make all of your pieces that look like this. Ta-da! Now you're ready to assemble the block. Doesn't take long. Doesn't take long at all. So at that point, you're going to sew your 4 center pieces together, your 4 6.5-inch squares together. If I can get that going. There we go. You will add your pieces probably on either side, doesn't matter, on the sides, and then add your little cornerstones on the other ones so that you end up with a block that looks like this. Piece of cake, you got it. You can do this. At that point in time, you can add your flower pieces. And then you get to applique. So some of the people that were in class today appliqued a lot. Some of people have not appliqued much at all. So there's several ways that you can go about finishing your project off. If you haven't done much applique and you're starting out and you're trying it out, my suggestion would be to make each block separate, fuse your flower petals down, then do your applique. If you're not sure about appliquing, pick a thread color that's close to the background. If you're good at it and you don't worry about it and you want some contrast, then pick a contrasting thread. once you've appliqued all of these down, then you can sew your blocks together, and then you can do your quilting. What I've done a lot of applique, and so covering a big piece of fabric through my machine like this doesn't bother me. But if you haven't done much applique, it's easier to applique a smaller piece. So that's entirely up to you. When I made mine, I sewed all of the blocks together before I appliqued my flowers on. Then I layered my fabric, my batting, and my backing, and I anchored everything by stitching in the ditch. So I stitched everything in the ditch. Then I came along and I appliqued my flower pieces. So I was putting this whole piece of fabric through my machine, which is easy to do. I've got a machine with a really wide neck on it or opening on it, and it's easy for me to do that. So that's what I did, and I don't think I was intending on doing free motion in between, but after I made it, I decided I wanted to do the free motion, the stippling around it. So I did all my stippling around it. If I had it to do over again, if I had known that I was going to do the stippling, I would have waited to do my applique, done all my stippling inside first, then appliqued over the top. That would have been much easier than doing free motion up into these little points and all around these little things, and then skipping over to this one, skipping over that one. It would be much easier to stipple this whole section, then applique down at the end. But that's okay. If you do not want to do stippling, and you've appliqued these down first, and before you've sewn all of your blocks together, I would layer all your fabric, your batting, and your backing. I would stitch in the ditch around all of these pieces, and then if you felt like this was a little bit too, you needed to anchor that a little bit more, I would take the same color that you appliqued, did your blanket stitch or your zigzag, whatever you appliqued with, and just do like a stitch in the ditch around each flower petal going straight, and that will anchor that down, and then you don't have to worry about doing any stippling in here. You've got it anchored down plenty. It's plenty quilted, and it's going to be beautiful. So that's my project for this week. You can mix these colors up. I kind of stuck with the pinks together and the blues together and then the greens together, but you could mix these colors up and mix them around any which way you want and add your binding, and you have a beautiful, beautiful summer table runner. You can use it on your picnic table or in the house, or it's big enough to be a bed runner, and it's just a really fun project. And it probably took me 2 afternoons. I think it took me 1 afternoon to put it together, and then a second afternoon to do all the quilting. So have fun with it. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. Don't forget that next Monday, the 19th, 2024. Yep, the 19th is our sample spree at 6 o'clock, so you don't want to miss that. We're busy pricing samples, and I'm getting numbers on everything, and that's going to be a fun evening. And then don't forget that we have our Christmas and fall and Halloween open house next Wednesday night on the 21st. So be sure to join us for that, and have a fabulous weekend. If you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with me. See you next time. Bye.